Hey Houseplant friends, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we have a little bit of a different angle because it's darker and this is literally the only way I can have any light on my face. Also, I'm a little congested today. Don't know why, so if my voice sounds different, it's because I was outside all day long. Today I'm going to tell you about the current houseplant economy, how the plant prices are currently dropping ridiculously, and my predictions, and also why I think that this might be happening right now when it is. So there's a few things that have recently contributed to the increased amount of plant parents in the plant community. And I think some notable ones are Jenna Marbles' plant shop tour about 3 years ago. There was the panoramic, and shortly into the panoramic was Bretman Rock's amazing plant tour from Hawaii. Coupled with that is the natural ebb and flow of houseplants being popular just in general. And then even on top of that, plant parents teaching their kids about plants and then those kids growing up with plants. So there's always a group of people who are really into plants, but right now it seems like we're at this very impressive situation with how many plant parents are plant parenting. When I joined the plant community, there was a lot of plant parents, but there was not as many as there are currently. One of the ways to kind of tell that are, the plant prices were much cheaper when I first joined. You can buy an alba for 100, 150, maybe 200 at the most. So over the last 2 years, we've seen a massive increase in plant prices because a lot more people have been looking for specific plants. Those plants were low in supply, therefore people could charge a lot more for them. I feel like we're kind of starting to see a crash, which is surprising because I did not think this might happen for a couple more years, to be honest. We were going to keep this going for another 2 or 3 years, and then maybe the plant market would crash again. Plants are a very unstable thing to invest your money into. You might one year buy a Spiritus Sancti that was $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, and now you can buy seedlings on Etsy for $5,000. And while it's very unstable, it's still something a lot of people invest their money into. I actually had someone reach out to me in my DMs not too long ago asking me if I thought plants were a smart investment because of the fact that, well, plant prices were dropping and they had spent a lot of money, and do I feel like my own collection is being devalued? I actually don't think about plants like that. I couldn't imagine being someone who thought about plants like that. Oh no, my collection is being devalued, therefore this is a problem. I'm just excited that plants are more accessible to people who might not have as much money as some of these people who are spending a lot of money on plants. Also, just so you know, there are people out there who are spending a lot of money on plants, but there's also a lot of people out there who are faking it and taking on a lot of debt to be able to own these plants because they're caught up in this whole situation. Not everyone out there has the money to buy the plants that they're buying, just so you know. So because we had this massive boom in new plant parents, and then comes in not enough plants for anyone. Like one of the plant shop owners that I know, Martha, who owns a Succulent Day, she told me that for a while they couldn't even get pothos because they were completely sold out. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but pothos prices have been going up, monstera prices have been going up, and I think that that's because these wholesalers are able to get more money from these plants that before they probably weren't. So what's happening now is we're having this trickle down situation where wholesalers are being able to price their plants for more money. Plant shops are going to have to then raise their own prices to keep the same profit margin as before. Let's talk about the popping bubble. I feel like if you were to picture a little bubble popping in slow motion, I feel like right now we're in the bubble, and I feel like the bubble is still a circle. You can still clearly see that the bubble's a circle, but someone has just put a pin onto it. And so we're not quite falling out of orbit yet. The bubble has begun to pop. And here are my thoughts why. During COVID, the number of searches for houseplants and gardening rocketed through the roof. It was one of the most searched things. Everyone and their mother, I don't know if you guys remember, but there were lines for Home Depot and Lowe's. Do you remember that? I remember that. That was just a year ago. Literally a year ago, probably today. There were lines for Home Depot and Lowe's because it was the only place to go. It was the only place open because you can't shut down agricultural businesses. So everyone was at Home Depot, everyone was gardening, everyone was renovating something, and there were these huge lines. Couple that with a bunch of people with nothing to do. They discover Jenna Marbles' video from 3 years ago, Bretman Rock's current video from July 2020. They discover an entire online plant community. People get sad during a panoramic. What do they do when they're sad? Buy a plant. That's literally what a lot of people's therapists tell them to do, is get into plants, because plants give you a dopamine release when they put out new leaves. So you have an entire world that has become sad and alone and kind of struggling, maybe really struggling. You couple that with agricultural businesses are the only thing open, the only place you can go to not be home or at the grocery store, coupled with a massive online growing community of a bunch of people, okay? It's gonna make this perfect storm of probably millions of new plant parents. What happens when people go back to work? What happens when people aren't home as much? What happens when people don't have time for the hobby anymore? I believe we are seeing the effects. I love pointing at you with this friggin' tuning fork. Can you hear that? It's the key of E. Any whoosies. Here's what's happening right now. Because of all the people who are into plants, not enough pothos, not enough monstera to go around, okay? What happens? Wholesalers amp up production. Because of their production is increased and now there's a lot more plants to sell, now there's a lot of plants. Because there's a lot of plants, suddenly supply almost kind of met demand there. And plants were still expensive. Like there was a couple times where we saw $100 pothoses. Remember that? Most of the working force is going back to work. We have a ton of plants. And the only people who are kind of now home to constantly take care of their collection, to invest money in more plants, are the people who were into plants before. Not to say that if you got in, whoa, I almost dropped this or launched it into my face. Not to say that if you got into plants before the panoramic that you suddenly won't be into plants now, but that people who get to stay home for their job, or maybe are stay-at-home parents, or maybe they just don't need to work because their partner makes so much dough. People who are at home more are more likely to spend more time looking at plants online, buying plants, having time to go out to look at plants. And that is a generalization. There's a lot of people out there who have full-time jobs who then go to plant stores or buy plants, but they do not have as much time. So what we're seeing, I believe, is supply has now overridden demand, because we had all these plant parents get in and, oh my gosh, Obliqua is so rare, and I need a monstera, I need a variegated monstera, and I need a pink princess, and all these plants are so rare, and if I see this plant right now, I might never see it again, so I need to buy it for this price. And there's people like the girl who reached out to me just the other day who are upset that they spent so much money on plants now that they see plant prices are dropping drastically. You guys, Obliqua prices went down from like $1,000 or more to $250 to $500 in like 3 months. Pink princess prices are pretty much not over $200 at all right now. Bromark's Fantasy, there are some listed online right now for $20. All these people went and bought these plants, and now that all these people have these plants, no one else really needs new plants, and there's not an overwhelming influx of new plant parents right now. So we have too many plants out there right now for the amount of new plant parents who want them. And because of that, we are seeing a massive drop in prices. That is my theory. I think that we saw a kind of really weird jump up in prices due to the severe oversaturation of new plant parents during the panoramic. And I think that now that there's no more of this massive influx, like there's just no one who's willing to pay these prices now, because of the fact that they've seen, oh, these only got expensive when I joined the club, and now if I just wait, they won't be as expensive. You're gonna fall asleep sitting up? She's so tired. So basically, I've given you my overall idea as to how this happened, but now I'm going to give you my 3 ideas as to specifically why. I think that there's 3 things here kind of working together, and I think plant prices are really only going to continue to drop, at least for the houseplants that we already all know and love. My theory number 1 is that everyone who wants the plants on the market right now already has them. They bought them when they first maybe got a stimulus check, maybe they got paid leave, they just had extra money that they weren't expecting that they were gonna have, so therefore they spent it on some rare plants, right? Theory number 2, all the new plant parents that are joining, or a majority of them, aren't as wealthy, and so therefore they're not willing or able to pay these expensive prices without going into debt. Me. And theory 3 is that these plants are old news. They're simply just fading out. I mean, Monstera Obliqua has been on the horizon now for a pretty long time, and there are still some very expensive houseplants on the market. For example, a white princess. For example, I mean, the Spirit of Sanctity is still pretty expensive. In comparison, not as expensive as it was before. Still expensive. You like me waving the tuning fork, huh? Yes. Yes. You're so pretty. Yes, you're so pretty. You like it? Ow. You like the tuning fork, huh? So basically, these plants are old news. Everyone has a pink princess. Everyone has a Monstera albo. Everyone has an Obliqua at this point. Like, they're just fading out. Are new plants on the horizon? Here are some plants I think are going to be trendy, kind of moving into this next season of plants. You like it, huh? Okay, here's some new plants I think are going to be trendy. People ask me this all the time, and it's really hard to predict plants that are going to be trendy because it's like, how can I even do that? So I think white and variegated plants are going to become very, very, very trendy. We've already kind of seen it happen a little bit with the philodendron gabby. This was a plant that was not at all expensive just last winter, at least from what I remember. I don't exactly keep up to date on new plants, so I mean, you never know, I could be completely wrong about this. The gabby and cream splash philodendrons have absolutely taken off, and philodendron has always been a very trendy houseplant. They're easy to take care of, they're pretty, they get big, they're nice. But the gabby and the cream splash, I mean, they really stole the show, I think, which was kind of cool, actually, to see some new plants. Like, I literally had a moment where I saw the price for what one had sold for on eBay, and I was like, hey, when did this get expensive? I missed the memo. Not that I had one or anything. I just thought it was hilarious that that happened without me even realizing it. Another plant I think it's going to be really popular right now. It's a plant that I saw on Facebook the other day, and I've seen it making its rounds. And that's the philodendron felix. This thing is wild. I mean, to me, it looks like a UPI with a billy tie. I also think the philodendron ilsemanii is going to become more popular, more highly desired. It's still not really on the forefront of most people's thoughts, which is surprising to me. I've been talking my little mouth off about this plant since I discovered it. You guys know what I mean. I'm so tired. Since I realized it existed. Blah, 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 ilsemanii all the time. So much that someone realized I wanted one who had one, and they did a trade with me. So, I know there's other YouTubers recently who got one. There's a Facebook group for it now and an Instagram. I think that plant in the next few years is gonna become really popular. I want it to become more available. I would love to just only grow ilsemanii because I think that they're so pretty. I don't like plants because of the inherent monetary value attached to them. I think it's fun sometimes to hunt for plants that are harder to find. Naturally, most of the time there is a higher price tag attached to those plants, but I sure wish it didn't. If there was a plant that was like $5 and it was still just really hard to find, that would just give me as much joy. I just like to find them. I like to hunt for them, put them on my wish list, go to a bunch of different stores, try to track it down. It doesn't have anything to, I don't like spending a lot of money on plants. And then the last plant I think is going to be really popular that's already kind of really popping off is the variegated philodendron hederaceum. Just this spring and summer really took off. I just think that we're seeing a pattern here. Every single one of these plants I just named is mostly white variegated with green on it as well. The cream splash obviously is a little different. It's got a white stripe on it, but the gabby, the ilsemanii, and the variegated hederaceum are all extremely highly variegated plants. I think like the felix, we're gonna see some new philodendron pop up on the horizon. I really think we're seeing people like small variegated vining plants right now. I think it's what is kind of becoming trendy. So I want to give a little shout out here to another YouTuber, Nick Alexander. Nick makes really great houseplant content. In one video, they talked about Costa farms and the Thai constellations and should you wait. And they made this video about last year, and it's still relevant, to be honest. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it in the description. Nick talks about how no one is going to be able to keep up with the amount and the frequency at which Costa Farms puts out rare plants. Costa Farms is able to put out Thai constellations at prices that no one else can really afford and no one else can really produce. And basically, Nick goes on to say no one else is going to be able to keep up. And I sort of feel like that is kind of what's happening right now in the plant world. I feel like no one is able to keep up with the amount of new plant parent loss that we're seeing. There's just not enough new people in the community to be buying plants at the ferocity that they were last year. Businesses were used to seeing such a high influx And I think that online businesses is different. I think online plant shops are a lot more lucrative than in-person plant shops because you can reach a much higher community. I think that if Costa Farms keeps doing what it's doing, like what Nick said, no one will be able to keep up and plant prices are just going to keep falling. I really feel like what we're seeing right now, at least for the plants that we've known and loved for the last however many years, I feel like it's finally their time for their prices to really come down. And I talked about this the other day. There was that whole Obliqua thing with the Obliqua Facebook group. Them even talking about no longer selling Obliqua because it's become devalued too much. And they don't want to devalue that plant because obviously then from what I have understood of that to mean is that they won't make as much money. I feel like we might see a lot of that, people holding back stock and then trying to limit supply so that demand will increase. But I just don't see that happening. So many people have plants right now and so many people have the ability to just cut and prop and sell. Like prices are just getting way too competitive and prices are dropping. And furthermore, with all these people going back to work, I feel like even though they might be making more money, there's less time for them to be able to sit at home, relax, browse, look through plants, go plant shopping with friends during the week. I just feel like we're kind of seeing, we saw this really weird ecosystem form, an unnatural plant price and also plant supply ecosystem. And now that people have jobs that they have to go back to, it's just not realistic that these prices will keep up, and it's not realistic that I think the supply will keep up. Because now there's too many freaking Birkins to go around. I don't know if you noticed, but freaking Birkins were hella expensive, and then during the pandemic, Costa made them, spread them around, and now they're like freaking $20. You can go to a Home Depot, you can throw a penny, hit a Home Depot, and there's gonna be Birkins there for $20. Maybe they're on sale for $10 because they're on clearance. So, but while all this sounds really exciting and it's like, oh my gosh, plant prices are going back down, it's not gonna last. Plants come and go. They are a fad and they're a trend. And right now plants are really trendy. I don't know if you've noticed, but Target has started selling live houseplants in their stores. Plants are becoming an extremely profitable thing to the point where they are pop culture at this point. I really honestly believe. People like Brett Man Rock bringing in new plant parents during the panoramic. We just had an absolute ton of new plant parents, which is really exciting. That's what we want. We want more of us. Everyone's going back to work now. So while it is dwindling right now, it will go back up again and prices will get more expensive again, and they will probably be for different plants, or maybe they'll be for the same plant. Anyways, that's kind of my cute little thesis on plants and like plants that are plummeting prices. I tied my tongue there a little bit. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to know in the comment section. This is more of a discussion video. Nothing I'm saying in this video is fact. It's all my own opinion. Don't forget to check out Nick Alexander's video in the description. And thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to leave your comments and thoughts in the comment section down below. I'd love to discuss this with you further. Also, make sure to like and subscribe. Tweet me at PlantMeAshley. Also follow me on Instagram and TikTok as well at PlantMeAshley. And join my memberships, bro. Super fun, super fresh, super amazing, super tight. Come hang out with us in the Discord. It's only $5 a month and you get access to a lot. It's well worth $5 a month, in my opinion. And in 160 other people's opinion too. So thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you to my extra channel sponsors, The Planted Cauliflower, All the Green Places, and Botanicas. And I will see you guys in the next houseplant section. Goodbye. See ya. I'm standing up now. I'm coming. Goodbye.